How's it going, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. We've got our second PC setup, so some weird stuff. So if you guys see some differences in audio quality and stuff like that, let me know down below. I'm doing my best to try to balance everything. We spent a lot of time on it last night, and people on stream made it sound pretty much what we thought it was going to be. So if you guys were there, greatly appreciate the love. But today's video is going to be us breaking down the second day of the European grid for week number 2. We had the playoff bracket, some predictions that went along with it. So time to find out what the results are going to be. But before we do that, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. And if you'd like to join our community at any point, we stream every day except for Tuesday over at twitch.tv/Lawler. We have a Discord, all that kind of stuff can be found in the description down below. That said, let's get into the video. So taking a look at the bracket, there has been some results that we've expected and then some other ones that completely caught us off guard. And again, like I put out a video the other day about how there is pretty much minimal consistency going on. That happens again. Everything is sporadic. The results are all over the place. There's a couple things that you're like, okay, I expect you to be there. But for the most part, today's games of Rocket League were absolutely weird. Obviously, yesterday is when these happened, but today when the video comes out, makes it a little bit more confusing. Going to start in the round of 16 and then work our way through, kind of recap everything, give you guys some heads up. Also, North America Regional 2 will be starting in a day here. So when you guys watch this video, NA Regionals will start to get underway. I'll probably be streaming twitch.tv/Lawler. Come hang out with us. But I'll probably be playing Cyberpunk 2077 if I'm being honest. Unless it's like a massive letdown, which hopefully I didn't just jinx it. And we don't have that issue. Either way, starting off round of 16, we got Redemption versus Wolves Esports. I talked about them and how they are now my gatekeeper team. I think Redemption is the team you have to beat in order to break into the top 8. I think Redemption's a very solid team, highly underrated, and their consistency is showing a lot of love. 3-0 sweep here, putting up a lot of goals. Not too much defense on either side, I would say. 3-2, 4-3 with an overtime, 5 minutes 44 seconds, and then 6-2. So a lot of goals being scored, minimal defense. That is something that if teams go back and look at, they should be able to find exploits about. If they're letting in this many goals, why is that? So something to keep in mind there. We then drop down to Oxygen versus Vitality. 3-0 in favor of Oxygen, and Vitality scores a single goal in game 1. That is it. Then 3-0 and 6-0 in favor of Oxygen. I do not know if this is Oxygen finally getting into form and feeling good about things, or if this is Vitality just playing down. My assumption is Vitality. I think them practicing and playing less is really starting to catch up to them as these teams are continuing to grind, and it is not going to cut it anymore. Vitality has looked pretty lackluster for about a week and a half now, and it's a little bit concerning. So I think the team is too talented not to, but if you're only putting up 1 goal as Vitality with that amount of talent, something wrong is happening. So some concerns about Vitality, but they bow out very early. The nice thing for them is they don't really need the grid to qualify them into the major. They should be doing just fine in regionals. But again, you want to give yourself any chance you can, and to get a little bit of extra cash does not hurt. We then look at BDS and Rix.gg. This is just a contrast in plays. BDS to me is one of the best teams, if not the best team in Europe, while you've got Rix that I think is towards the like 15 to 20 area. So I don't have expectations of Rix to do much here. They don't even score a single goal. It's a perfect sweep from BDS in both sense, not only a 3-0, but also not allowing Rix to score a single goal. We then get to Giants and Fadeaway. I talked about how Fadeaway would put up a little bit of a fight because of their play style, just depending on how creative, I guess, Itachi and the rest wanted to be. Giants doesn't skip a beat. Very talented team. One I consider probably top 2, top 3, with bumping Vitality down probably here in the near future. They do have 3 1-goal games. One of those going to OT in game number 1. 9 seconds in, right off the kickoff, is a goal from Giants. But Fadeaway does put up a fight, so even though you see 3-1, it doesn't really tell the full story. Make sure, if you guys want to see a contrast in playstyles, where a team plays a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more chaotic versus a team that's a little bit more passive and a little bit more defensive, I think that is a prime example of it in that series. We then go to Guild versus Triple Trouble, and I talked about how Triple Trouble would put up a fight, and they do so. They completely shut out Guild in the first 2 games, and then Guild has some plans of their own and decides to reverse sweep. They shut out back-to-back for Triple Trouble, 4-0, 2-0, and then we finally get into the 5th game that actually matters, which is in overtime. Triple Trouble should have closed out this game. They had the victory in their hands, and Guild somehow was able to tie it back up and then win in OT, minute 23. Very exciting series. I got to watch the tail end of that when I woke up this morning. So exciting stuff for Guild. They are able to stay alive. We then drop down to Galaxy Racer versus Top Lokes, and I don't necessarily think this is a problematic thing for Top Lokes. They are getting knocked out in the first round, but they are going up against another team that I consider top 5, maybe even top 4 in the region right now. This is without a doubt the most competitive match and the best teams. I mean, this is just a happenstance of what goes down when you're playing in groups and seeding doesn't go in your favor. Top Looks ends up 3rd seed in their group. They should have been 1st seed, and Galaxy Racer ends up 2nd seed. So the fact that these guys are coming together so early is just because of Top Looks not having the best performance in their first matches. They did play with Tata, their sub, during the group stage. So keep that in mind. Their placements being 1 and 2 was because they were playing with a sub, and it shows the results of that. Of if Archie's not playing and you have a sub come in, this is the result of it, and you're playing a much tougher competition. In this case, they do get upset. I would say Top Looks is the better team, but credit to Galaxy Racer. They had a really good day. Very fast, very aggressive. So Top Looks does get overwhelmed a little bit here. They do keep it close as always, but yeah, I'm not going to dock Top Looks for not getting knocked out first round. They still have scoring capabilities. It's just Galaxy Racer is playing very fast, very aggressive, and super, super unconventional today. Dignitas versus Singularity. I was trying to see if Dignitas was going to trend in the right direction. Also talk about how Singularity is one of the best teams if they play to their potential and if they're feeling good that day. Well, today is the day that Singularity decided to feel better than everybody else. Up against Dignitas, it does go 3-1. Game 1 is 5-2. Game 2 is 1-0. Game 3 is Dignitas' favor with an overtime in 27 seconds. And then last game is game 1-0 in favor of Singularity. So this is a good fight from Dignitas. I think Dignitas is playing very well, but man, Singularity today was on a streak. We'll talk about more of the specifics here in just a bit, but Scrub Killa has really slotted well into this team. He still does a little bit of ball chasey stuff that I really don't like, where he just double backs into play and chases it down. But overall, the game does look like Hibbs and Breezy. Breezy in particular, I mean, it's tough to pick one, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, but Breezy had a really good day, really good with his dribbles and controlling the field and not giving away possession. Some interesting stuff where he like goes past the defender and then like Musty flicks to scoop it up past it. It was nuts. But everybody on this team was feeling really good today. Hibbs hit a nutty shot that was reminiscent of Squishy's, where it does that like helicopter spin on Neo Tokyo to play at far post. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you know the shot. But yeah, some pretty crazy stuff out of Singularity today. We then drop down to Endpoint versus Liquid, and more depressing facts from Team Liquid, which matches up with their decal, which has been the jokes on Reddit. So shout outs to whoever made that joke on Reddit, but their performance looking like their decal. Doo-doo. So pretty rough here. Endpoint just the better team. Not much to say. But then get into the quarterfinals, and we're going to start with Redemption versus Oxygen. And this is a pretty big upset, in my opinion. I think Oxygen is supposedly supposed to be the better team, but they definitely have some consistency issues. There's some times where they look absolutely great, but then there's other times where they play down to their competition. I do think Redemption is a good team, but to me, this is Oxygen playing down. This is a team you need to win. They are finding ways to keep Oxygen from scoring. This might be a stylistic difference too. Oxygen wants to play fast and kind of dictate, but Redemption, I think, does it a little bit better, where they're a bit more aggressive, a little bit better at challenges in the corner and kind of creating opportunities. We saw them do this all last week in regionals as well. So I think Redemption just does a really good job of shutting down Oxygen. And you can see in games 2 and 3, when they're not able to, Oxygen gets those extra goals. So credit to Redemption here of really shutting down and being aggressive towards Oxygen in this game to get the victory. In the second quarterfinals, we have BDS versus Giants, two top dogs in the scene, especially in Europe. Keeping a battle all the way back and forth. Every other game alternated between win-loss. There's not a whole lot to break down here on the specifics, other than just two teams that are very good playing each other. There's nothing in one thing particularly that I want to point out about this series. It's just you are getting a first seed and like a second or third seed playing each other. You're just going to get good gameplay, and both teams played well. It's just a matter of whose time of day it is, and in this time it was Giants. I will say that it is a pretty big deal because normally BDS does close out series against Giants, but I do think the new addition of Itachi is adding that little bit of extra factor, or that X factor, that flair that they've been looking for. So credit to Giants kind of beating their old rival. We then get into one of the most exciting series of the day, where it is Galaxy Racer versus Guild, and Guild and Galaxy Racer decide to switch up some matches. But in games 3, 4, and 5, we have OTs of 52 seconds, a minute and 11, and a minute 17. This was Galaxy Racer's game to lose at this point. I think they played better. They controlled the field better. They did everything better than Guild, but they made some mistakes that allowed Guild to make it close. Galaxy Racer should have closed out this series, in my opinion. But I do think this is a really good foundation. You're starting to see Devo do the things that I'm excited about. He's being a little bit more of a bully on offense. He's dictating control. He's not afraid to cut rotation a little bit with the communication from his teammates to actually apply that pressure that is not conventional, and it catches teams off guard. So he's getting a couple dunks and stuff here and there that have been exciting, but Galaxy Racer to me is just a better disruptive team. So Galaxy Racer, I think, control the majority of this game. They just need to close it out sooner. Next up is Singularity and Endpoint in our last quarterfinal, and this set a couple records. The first record, the longest overtime in RLCS history to my knowledge, 10 minutes and 17 seconds in game number 3. That is a lot. You're talking you just played a 5-minute game, and now you have to play 2 more before you get a victory. And for those last 10 minutes, it is one goal. You make a mistake, one bad thing happens, and it's over. It's a lot of strain on the mental. And I'm surprised Singularity was able to keep it together after that. So congrats to them. But Singularity 3-0 in favor of them with a really long OT. That also puts Singularity at the highest, I think, overall overtimes, like on average in their competitive play. I think it's like 2 minutes and like 12 or 17 seconds or something like that of average overtime played in their matches, which is absolutely insane. That's a lot of OT when a lot of people kind of see, as we saw earlier in the bracket, where it ends in like the first 11 seconds or so after a kickoff, or like the first minute or so. So to double that on average is actually pretty crazy. So Singularity endpoint, pretty good fight. 1 goal game in that last one. But other than that, Singularity just kind of feeling it today. This is when you really started to see that aggressive, like Scrub Killa having a good day, Breezy having a good day. It really came into form in the quarterfinals. We then get into our last semifinals and grand finals match. In the first semifinal, Redemption versus Giants. Again, Redemption's a good team, but Giants is just better. There's not really much to say here. I think the talent is just better on the other side. In a 5-game series, it was 4-1. And Giants, I'm just going to read this out for you guys. 7-0, 3-1, 4-0, 1-0 in favor of Redemption, 2-0. So they hold Redemption to 2 goals and are putting up 3+ goals a game. That's pretty dangerous. Very tough to beat Giants. This is that separation. When I talk about wanting a top-tier team to solidify being a top-tier team and not allowing these other teams that are lesser per se to come back, this is proof. This is why when I say, what are your predictions? And I look at Giants, they're an easy pick for me. So well done by Giants. Dominant fashion. Don't even bother going and watch the series. It's just bloodbath. Giants just having a field day. Pretty much the casters just wanting it to be over at this point. We then get into probably the best series of the entire week so far. It is Galaxy Racer versus Singularity. And this is a Game 7 nail-biter with 2 OTs going the distance. I went back and watched this with my stream. And ultimately, this should have been Galaxy Racer winning. Even Hibbs talking to him, I'm like, I have no idea how Singularity won this series. And it's weird because despite that, this is a game of Rocket League that is very punishing, where you can put on as much pressure as you want. And Galaxy Racer legitimately held offense for like 3-4 minutes at a time, but they just didn't get the goal to push them over the other side. And Singularity's defense, absolutely insane. Hibbs and the rest of the boys, Breezy in particular, a ton of really good defense, but also the ability to create some mistakes and some opportunities on the side of Galaxy Racer. So there was one in particular where, can't remember the name in particular, but there was somebody on Singularity that went for a dribble and he got past 2. And then on the back end, I think it was Matane that demoed somebody and it was a wide open net. And it's like, it was so telling of the series where like, as soon as Singularity moved out a net or didn't pack the box, Galaxy Racer put them away. But it ended up coming down to the very last game where there was a mistake where 2 players on Galaxy Racer ended up rotating near post. And the first touch was really awkward and it kept somebody on the backboard. And then it just kind of fit back in with a follow-up. It ended up bouncing to the right side and hit Scrub Killa and goes in. So it was just kind of ugly. That was the only goal of the game. That was Game 7. It was kind of underwhelming in how the finals ended. But Galaxy Racer should have won this series, if I'm being completely honest. I think Galaxy Racer versus Giants probably would have ended in favor of Giants just because of playstyle differences. But Galaxy Racer, again, finding themselves in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, really big deal. Redemption bumping into that is a pretty big deal. But the big surprise here is Singularity pushing all the way to the grand finals. A big deal for them that hasn't happened in a while. So congrats to them. The only time we've seen kind of this anomaly was early in the fall split with Triple Trouble. But Singularity, it looks like they're finally starting to figure things out. I know Scrub and I talked behind closed doors about how excited he was to see this team develop. And we got that in the finals. I haven't watched this series yet myself, but it's very telling to see that Singularity, when they are feeling good, their productivity on offense is very threatening and they overwhelm. Their boost control is the #1 thing. And they're not afraid to cut rotations and be a little bit creative with it. Giants just couldn't get anything going, to be completely honest. From the highlights and stuff that I went and looked at, I haven't taken it under a microscope yet, but from the highlights and stuff I saw, it is primarily Singularity controlling the play and a lot of solo stuff. Not afraid to do what Giants likes to do with Itachi, but even better. And from there, it was just Scrub Killa having a day. Scrub Killa, like every player on this team at one point or another, just played really well, and no one was really performing poorly, so it was just a collective. So great plays across the board, everybody getting involved, and that's what you love to see. So Singularity, a big victory here for them, getting some of that money. Free Smilla not being spammed at all today. That is going to wrap it up for this recap. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully everything kind of comes out cleanly and you guys enjoy the new content. But I'm going to be over on my stream, twitch.tv/Lawler, link in the description down below. Come hang out with us, come talk, open shop about the matches and everything else that's going down. We've also got NA regionals coming up this weekend, 4 days back to back action. Gonna be a lot of Rocket League for North America, some exciting matches for sure. If I didn't show you in the bracket yesterday, my yesterday video or the day before video, those matches early in those quarterfinals are going to be spicy. So A bunch more here to come. But with that said, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop those down below. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you next time.